If you find a piece of pottery, what information can you glean from it? How can you unlock its secrets? What can it tell you? What sort of vessel did it come from? When was it made? Would be an important question you might ask. How was it made? Where was it made? What was it used for? Today we're going to have a look at the parts of a pot, how to identify pottery and how to unlock its secrets when you find it. Starting with this piece here. This is a useful piece just to describe the parts of a pot because it's basically the whole profile. So the profile would go from the rim down the side of the pot and then to the base here. So you've got an entire profile, which is very good for trying to identify pieces. It's what you call a diagnostic piece of pottery. It tells you something. There's information that can be gleaned from it. So here you have the rim at the top, and you can see the rim curves around the pot. And if you have one of these, then you can measure your rim and you can find out how big the entire pot was. This is called a rim chart. If you Google rim chart, then you can download them from the internet. It has radii and it has numbers along the side, and basically the numbers along the side are half the diameter of the pot. So what would you do is get your piece of pottery there and then just match up the curve of the rim until you're happy that it matches up with the same curve on the piece of paper. Then you read off your number along the edge and say, if in this example the radius had the number 20 along the edge, then you would double that up and you know that your pot originally, or your bowl, was 40 centimetres across the rim diameter. So those are rim charts. When you've printed it off, you might just want to get a ruler and just check the measurements along the edges just to make sure that they are centimetre edges and that it's really downloaded and printed off at the correct size. You can also, obviously, if it's not quite correct, you can photocopy it and get the photocopier to just enlarge it or make it a little bit smaller so that it's exactly the right measurements. So by using the rim chart you can find the diameter of your pot, and this would be 40 centimetres across. Then you can also find out from the rim other things about the pot. Obviously, if you've got a very small rim there, then you know that your vessel is a closed form. That is, it's a narrow mouthed neck. It would be a bottle or a small pot. If, however, you have a larger rim like that, then your vessel is likely to be an open form, like a bowl or a large pot. Also, the shape of the rim might tell you something about your pot. So what does it look like in profile? So is it straight edged or sort of hammer shape like that? Or alternatively, is it rounded? Is it a round rim like that? That will tell you something about it. Does it have a seating? In other words, is there a notch in the rim where a lid would have gone? You can have an external seating, which is on the outside of the rim, like that. Or alternatively, you can have an internal seating. So you've got the rim there, and there's an internal groove there where the lid would have sat on the top. So that can tell you something about it. Maybe there's a spout on your rim, so you know that it was a jug which would be used for pouring. Obviously got a handle coming off there as well, so that tells you something about it. Is there any decoration on your rim or any forming there? Now you see, because the rim is there, you know that's not going to be that way around. That's going to go from left to right that way around. Maybe there's some other decoration on your rim which might help you to identify the age of the piece or where it was made. If we go further down now and look at the body of the pot, we can see some other features which might help in our identification. So, with the body of the pot, obviously there are the obvious things about it, like the colour of the clay. So in the profile, in the broken edge, you can see very clearly the colour of the clay, and also whether there's any decoration on it, whether there's any glazing. So this is the outer face, the outside of the vessel, and that's just clay, there's no glaze on that. But the inside of this particular bowl is glazed. So you've got the inside face, the inside of the bowl is glazed, the outside is unglazed. When it comes to the clay itself, what colour is the clay? Is it red firing clay or maybe white firing clay? And also, if you look closely at the clay, are there any inclusions in it? Is there anything in the clay that was added as a temper or is in the body of the clay? Are there any bits in it? Are there any white bits or any black bits or any quartz bits? Anything like that that might give you a clue about what sort of clay it is. What sort of clay is it? Is it earthenware or is it stoneware? Earthenware is rather softer and you can scratch it with your fingernail and it feels rather sort of dusty. Stoneware is much harder and is a much tougher material, a higher firing clay. Is there any decoration on the side of your pot that would help you? Also have a look for throwing marks. You can see there you've got horizontal marks that were made as the pot was thrown. If there are none, that means not necessarily that the pot wasn't thrown on a wheel, but just that they were smoothed off as it was made. But here, so this would never go top to bottom, this would always go left to right. So you can always orientate your piece of pot quite simply. So does it have throwing marks on it from production? Or has it got more deliberate decoration on it as rilling? So again, this is never vertical, this is always horizontal, left to right, and just on one face there. Another thing, does it have any marks of sooting on it? If there's sooting on the outside, that would have come from where it was sitting in a fire, so that you know that it's a cooking vessel, for example. So that would give you an idea of the vessel's function. As I said, you might have the handle or the top of a handle coming off your rim or further down your pot. And there's also diagnostic features from handles. Different shaped handles have different names. So you get these round profile handles. These are called rod handles. And again, these would be vertically spring off the side of the vessel and come up towards the neck. You get larger, flatter handles, and these, because of their shape, are called strap handles. So these would come off like that, Again, sometimes they might have decoration on them, or in this case grooves, slashing and holes from stabbing. This would be a medieval practice, which would help, as well as decoration, it would help the clay to breathe and any moisture to escape so it wouldn't explode in the kiln. Here's another example of slashing at the base of a handle. And have a look on the inside as well. Is there a mark where the handle was set into the side of the pot, a cut where the handle was put in? This is a piece of pot and there's a big thumb mark here, but that is the base of a handle. You can see where it's broken off and the handle would rise up out of the side there. So that's quite good to spot that as well. Here's a little strap handle, but that is actually not a broken end, that is the end of it, so that is complete as a little projection from the side there. A handle is sometimes, in this case, just a boss really, not very long. That is as long as it is, so it doesn't go on and join on to anywhere else. That's more of a projection there on the rim of a pot there. Rather large handle. With that sort of handle, because you'd lift it from there, you'd expect a corresponding one on the other side of the vessel to lift it off. So that'd be one of a pair of handles in that form there. In terms of decoration, what sort of decoration is on the side of your pot? Is it, what colour is it? What is the glaze like? Is it glaze or is it slip? Is it hand painted decoration? Is it transfer printed? That can give you some good clues as to the age of the vessel. Are there any holes in the side of the pot or in the base of the pot? For example, something like that. A hole obviously will let something in or let something out, of course. This is a bung hole, so it would have had a cork fitted in it, and that would be from the side of a large cistern which would hold water or beer, and then obviously that can be let out. A smaller hole there, you can't fit your finger through that. That would be more for a string to attach, and there'd be another one either side of the neck of this little pot or costrel, which is a little pot for holding drink, and then you could tie a string there and hang it around your neck if you wanted to. Or this is a spout, obviously because it has a hole in it to let the liquid out from a teapot, and it also has holes there to strain out the leaves of the tea so they didn't end up in your teacup. And this is actually the base of a medieval pot, and there's a hole there, so I imagine that would be used for sprinkling. So you'd fill it up and there'd be a number of holes. There's another hole there in profile, and then you'd use this as a watering can or for sprinkling water to lay down the dust in your living room. So holes are a good diagnostic of the function of your pot. Now moving on to the base of the vessel, obviously there's a nice angle there where the base begins. And the base also can tell you something about the vessel. So obviously round bases, and then the side going up like that. That's quite a good shape from a baluster jug. So you can see the base, and then the pot goes up, narrows significantly there, and then would widen out later up the body. So that's quite diagnostic, also medieval. There's the base, you can see the angle there, that's quite clear in that shard. But maybe in a smaller shard, all you've got is just a little kink there, which shows you that the base is there and the side of the bowl goes up like that. Is there any decoration or any feature on the base? Are there any wire marks, which are concentric circles on the base, which shows where a wire was used to cut the pot off the wheel after it was thrown? So yes, what sort of shape is your base? Is it frilled like that, which is quite a diagnostic of the medieval period? Does it have thumbing on it? The thumbing would go up the side of the wall, made by the potter's fingers just to stabilise the pot a bit there. There's another example of a frilled base from a stoneware drinking jug. Does it have feet? There's a little foot there, one of 3 from a tripod pipkin, and there's the inside of the pot with the glaze, and the outside there, the foot. Here's an interesting base of a pot. It's very diagnostic. Basically you've got 2 holes there, 2 cuts there in the clay, and then you've got that little cut here on the side to make a little opening in the side of the base. And this is from a chafing dish. Chafing is just heating, so it's from a heating dish. So the top there would go up like that, and you'd be able to put a plate or a food container on top of it. And then you'd put hot coals in here, maybe with some incense or something like that. And then the hot air would rise through there and heat whatever you've got on top of there. So that's quite a diagnostic form chafing dish there. That would be from the 16th or early 17th centuries. So I hope that helps. When you find a piece of pottery, have a close look at it and check out the diagnostic features, and putting them all together hopefully will give you an idea at least of the size of the pot, maybe its shape, its function, what sort of glaze or decoration it had on it, and all these added together will hopefully give you a clue as to how the pot was made, where it was made, and more importantly when it was made. Thank you for watching. Bye.